It's hard for judges to get together. We all might be in one building, but because the judges were so concerned about the future of this building, their home, and the home of the federal judiciary for 50 to 100 years to come, even beyond that. So we had high turnout for all the meetings, and we got such great guidance. It worked out beautifully. We now have, we think, one of the prettiest courthouses in America.
RAMSA has been designing courthouses for some 30 years now, and it's been a wonderful experience working with the GSA and of course the courts. But we were very drawn to this because it involved adding to a really quite magnificent building that was originally a post office, then it doubled in size, and now they wanted to expand the program quite dramatically. And while we were doing that, we were able to really change the whole atmosphere of the inn by reorganizing it and making it practical for modern day court usage.
What was interesting and unique about this building was that you had an existing functioning courthouse, while deficient still had cases being executed. And while we built the new courthouse in the annex, that entire building had to continue functioning the entire time. We had to maintain all the security requirements, and the public still had to have easy wayfinding. After the annex/wing was built, we moved all of the court functions into that new building, and then we're able to restore, preserve, and find adaptive reuse programming for the existing.
It's so much more user-friendly in the new building, both the historic Jonas in its renovated form, but also in the new wing. Now we've got a lot more space. It's just better for everybody.
There were three strong objectives: maintaining the entrance on Trade Street. The second thing was security, and that's the creating 3 separate circulation paths through the building for public, judiciary, and the marshals. And the third thing was program. It was just doubling the size of the courthouse. And we did that by creating an 8-story annex on what was once the parking lot for the post office. And that gave the courts a presence on the skyline of Charlotte.
At the street level, it has presence, and on the skyline, it also has presence. Judges are so happy with the new configuration because of the respect we gave the original courthouse in terms of the way it's organized.
Approaching a project that has the preservation, renovation, adaptive reuse program elements, it's important to actually nod to the original building. And it was really important for RAMSA, as part of our regular design process, to look at precedents from the original building. The stair hall was such a great opportunity to really showcase and celebrate the existing facade of the Jonas building. What was the exterior wall of the Jonas is now a feature wall of that interior space, and really kind of helps encompass the architecture quality of that entire room. And I think it's created a space that the judges really appreciate.
It's a breathtaking space that joins the historic Jonas on this side and the new wing on this side. You get the natural light coming in. It's such an elegant joinder of the 2 spaces. I just love to walk out here and take a breath every now and then during the course of the day.
The existing building has a very strong colonnade, and that's something that we chose to pick up on with the pilaster and loggia expression on the 4 sides of the new wing building. We also tried to pull cues from the material of the existing building, which is limestone, with our selection of precast. And that allowed us to pull out a lot of the program from the existing building and create a light-filled gallery with 2 corridors on either side.
To make the procession from the front door through the new wing a joy to walk through.
This particular courthouse is known for one very significant Supreme Court case, Swan v. Charlotte-Mecklenburg. That case, a Supreme Court decision that held the judges could use extraordinary but necessary methods to break up segregation in the school systems in the South. It was a very, very important decision in our civil rights history, reflected in a series of mosaics on the backside of our new wing. 7 mosaics were designed by Ellen Driscoll, an artist out of Brooklyn, and each panel represents some important part of the history of this building.
We've essentially embraced everything that was great about the old and kept it, but opened ourselves to a new future with all kinds of great features in the renovated Jonas, but also the new wing. So it's a great result for us. The courtroom I used in the historic Jonas was tiny. I mean, it was a closet. And that was difficult for staff, it was difficult for the defendants, difficult for the lawyers. Now it's a lot more savvy from a technology standpoint.
Now, all our courtrooms are in the new wing. And what's so great about these new courtrooms is they meet national standard.
One thing that has changed in practice of law in a courtroom is Now there's an expectation for there to be the latest technology to record the proceedings, to have monitors so that everyone can see the facial expressions, which changes the whole way a courtroom acts in some ways.
So the design team developed several different courtrooms and courtroom types for this project. It utilized two key tools in the process. And the first was doing 3D modeling using a program called Revit, and we were able to then visualize the different types of courtrooms. And this was done not just in plan, section, elevation, but allowed us to look at it three-dimensionally in axons as well as perspectives. And then later on in the process, we were able to do actually a full-size mock-up of the various courtrooms. So they actually built all the different types of courtrooms, the walls, the built-in furniture, even the tables. And then they were able to bring in various chairs that we could sit in and just make sure we could all see each other and make eye contact, and that everything was kind of designed in a way that made sense. Judges were there as well.
Looking back on it, it was great. And we got to walk around and make comments and draw stuff. And it was just a tremendous experience. And so the relationships and the learning and the work together and the end result just have been a real joy, a great learning experience for me.
RAMSA definitely had a great time collaborating with the entire design team, including our members at Jenkins Peer Architect, CGL, and MP Stokes Landscape Architecture. The entire team thoroughly enjoyed the process, and then obviously our collaboration with the courts, the judges, the GSA through various design meetings, the commissioner's presentation. That entire process basically encompassed, a really strong collaborative team.
I must stress that the courthouse is a very important building within any city fabric. The impact that our courthouses have had on the towns and cities that they're located in has been really quite dramatic. Everyone seems to love it, including the architects. And so we were very pleased with how this courthouse has turned out.